Happy Monday. All right, Tedx Application Journey. Today is day 7, if we're counting from when I have officially declared to all of you that I am doing this thing. I'm working on this thing. So let me just fill you all in. So on Friday, I got advice that maybe I should just marinate and not push too hard. And so I gave myself permission to just not think too hard about I've been painting and I've stained my hands green. I got green all over my face. I tried to wash it off. I think I got it, but I'm a pretty messy painter. So I gave myself permission to just chill. I chilled over the weekend when it came to I definitely thought about this, but I didn't put huge pressure on myself to, get the 5 words pounded out. And stay tuned. I'm not going to tell you yet, but I did come up with what I want my 5 words to be. On Friday, did the thing where I have a friend, Katie Marshall, who is a presentation coach, and she is talented. She is a phenomenal metaphorist. She just is great at coming up with metaphors. She's an incredible wordsmith, and she's the type of person that you would want on your team no matter what you were doing. And I really believe in paying people for what they do. And so I said, Katie, can I hire you for an hour consultation? I need some help. I need to pound this baby out. So today from 10:15 to 11:15, I got to toss around ideas. And there's so much power in hiring someone who knows what they're doing to help you bounce ideas back and forth on the thing that you need a little guidance on. And so that's what I did. And so I just want to show you, talk to you about some of the things that we were bouncing around. She watched my Instagram lives this week, so she's been following along, so she had a really good idea of what I was trying to accomplish. And we were talking about the idea of how failure is necessary for creation. And as a creativity coach, I love that. So failure is necessary to creation. And she liked that I shared that, like grief, failure is a cycle. And that you have to, once you do something, once you try and you fail, you have to give yourself time to feel the feelings and mourn it. It's not none of that Silicon Valley shit where it's fail hard, fail fast, move on next. No, you gotta feel it, absorb the lesson, because if you don't absorb the lesson, if you don't learn from what you just did, if you don't feel the emotion of what you did, it's stuck in you. It's held in you, and it will continue to keep you out of action. But failure, we talked about how it's innately heartbreaking, but there's something really beautiful in the heartbreak of it. And failure happens in nature every year, right? Everything dies. It goes dormant. It has to stop. And so failure is a process, just like the cycles and the seasons. So failure is fuel, absolutely. If you've stopped, if you've processed, failure is absolutely fuel. So I'm gonna be, let's see, what else? We're talking a lot about how, what do I actually do when I'm in failure? What's the process? And I was talking about how the times where I've felt like I was failing the hardest have certainly been in Yoke and Abundance in the last, not so much so in the last 4 years. I can tell you that the times that I felt like, and again, I shared yesterday that we are not failures, but I think a lot of our aversion to the word failure is because we feel like a failure. And I felt that too. I'm not saying I haven't felt that. I'm just saying that that's where we need to shift our mindset. We don't need to reframe failure. There's a bee around me. We don't need to reframe failure as something that we shouldn't embrace. We need to reframe us feeling as a failure. And so in Yoke and Abundance, on the months that I'd get halfway through the month and there would be very, very, very little money in my bank account and zero savings because I was coming out of bankruptcy. And I wasn't sure how I was going to make money at what I was doing, and wondering if I was failing at yet another business. In those times, the process that I had to go through, I had to merge some things. I had to merge 3 things. It's like a little triangle. I can't, my hand is holding up, but it was like a triangle, right? Creativity, physical activity, and faith. So the most destructive thing that I could do when I was feeling like I was failing in my business, when I felt that fear, when I felt that heaviness, when I felt that despair around the failure, because yes, you feel all of those things, like the worst thing that I could do is go work more, because I was creating from fear, and people can feel that shit. I'm gonna have to find a scientific way to say that and maybe some research to back it up on the TED stage, but I'm telling you, when you put things out into the world because of fear, not because you're excited about them, not because they're interesting to other people, but because you're terrified, that is going to tank your business faster than anything else. So what I would do when I realized that that running myself ragged and working harder and more because of fear wasn't the right thing to do, when I recognized that, I tried to come up with different alternatives, and I realized that there were about 3 things. There's like a cycle of 3 things that I could do: create, like paint or write, physical activity like running or cycling, and then have faith. And typically what would happen for me when I would lean into creating, and when I would do that, I would turn off my email, I would get my work out of my space, and I would paint or I would write, and I would not be checking my email, or if I'm going to go run or go for a long bike ride, which seems completely counterintuitive, but I'm telling you, this is the way to do it. What would happen is magic. I would typically come back from a session where I had totally immersed myself in what I was doing, and I would have had a sale, or I would have gotten an email about someone who said yes to my podcast. And it was that combination. They build off of each other. They help us get into like a flow state of mind, where in a flow state, Mike Cheeksme talks about this in his book Flow, like basketball players who are like in the zone, that's a flow state where you're not feeling pain, you're not feeling fear, you're not feeling necessarily joy or happiness, but you're able to see things clearly and you're able to go through the motions. I was able to do that. And then what would happen is when I would come back to my work, I was able to bring those flow states into my work and create things that people wanted more easily because I was naturally then in the flow. So I think that there's a story there. I don't know if you found that interesting or not, but I think that there's something interesting there around failure. And so it got us thinking. Yesterday also, Alyssa McKim sent me, she's a good friend of mine, she sent me a note after watching these videos, and she's like, Alicia, go re-listen to Abby Wambach's conversation with Brene Brown around her book, The Wolf Pack. Well, I love the Wolf Pack book, and I really enjoyed that podcast interview with Brene and Abby, so I listened to it, and Abby talked about how she was, at 16, she got an opportunity to go visit the Olympic Training Center where like Mia Hamm, the soccer player, had trained, and this is where the soccer players were every single day. And then by the door, leaving this locker room of the women Olympic soccer players space, you would think that there would have been some like real positive, uplifting thing. And what was actually by the door was a picture of a celebration of the year prior. The women's soccer team got beat, and it was the team that beat them celebrating. That was by the door. They were honoring, and Abby said it was them obnoxiously celebrating. So she said that really stuck with her a lot. She thought a lot about that poster of seeing the year prior's team celebrating that had just beat them, and how they honored that failure and then turned that failure into fuel. And yes, what I'm talking about is embracing failure. And yes, what I'm talking about is failing forward, but I'm talking about something much, much bigger. In me trying to help change mindset around failure, around the word failure, around the experience of failure, is that I really believe that failure is something we need to embrace, because we do need to honor failure. And so I'm about to share with you what my 5 words are. So I believe that my 5 words are: failure is a sacred right. Failure is a sacred right. And it's going to happen to all of us. We're all going to fail at some point. You can let it happen to you, or you can let it happen for you. So that's what this is all about. Failure is a sacred right, and you can let it happen to you, or you can have it happen for you. And you get to choose, and you get to use it as fuel, but first you have to honor it. So that's really what my talk is about. That's what I've finally come to. Failure is a ritual, and it happens to all of us at some point in our life. And hell, I mean, if you're married, it happens to 50% of us, right? So failure is a sacred right. That is what my TED Talk is going to be about, and I am going to get busy on writing the rest of the application. I know that Greensboro's application is due by the end of April, and God, I would love to be able to get into Greensboro's, but I just have a weird feeling about it. I don't know that I'm what Greensboro has ever been looking for. I'm just going to be real honest about that. Not just Greensboro Tedx, but Greensboro. I love Greensboro. I don't know that Greensboro loves me. It's that kind of relationship. So I am applying to, I made a list yesterday. I went online and I like Google searched what cities, what TEDx's have open calls for applications, and I made a list of about 15. There's only a few that have upcoming deadlines. One has a deadline of Thursday, so I've got to get my shit in action, get moving. That's what I'm working on. And I'm just really appreciative of everyone who is along for this ride with me. It is so much fun to talk to all of you about what I'm doing. Your support and your comments and your energy is already major fuel for me, and it has helped me so much fleshing out this idea. So my top takeaways for you from today that I hope that you'll listen to. Okay, first takeaway with my green hands, I'm turning into Kermit. Hire experts, even if they're your friends. Pay them for their expertise. Katie Marshall, Creative Machine, currently called the Creative Machine. She is amazing. She's awesome. So if you are working on public presentation, communication, anything, Katie Marshall is definitely the woman you want to be working with. And then failure. It's going to happen to all of us. It can happen to you, or it can happen for you. You get to choose. And it's really important. My 5 words, last takeaway for you, my 5 words: failure is a sacred right. Are you going to have the sacrament with me? All right. Let's have a fantastic day. Let me know what you think. So much love from me to you.